Bill Gates. Actually, we have already published his video on the channel, but this is a remake video made by game companies, more detailed, enjoyable watching and from the beginning. Bill Gates is an American businessman, software developer, investor, author, and philanthropist. He co-founded Microsoft with his childhood friend Paul Allen. During his career at Microsoft, Gates has served as chairman of the board, chief executive officer, president, and chief software architect, and was Microsoft's largest individual shareholder until May 2014. He was one of the key entrepreneurs of the microcomputer revolution of the 1970s and 1980s. Bill Gates was born on October 28, 1955 in Seattle, Washington. His father was a prominent lawyer and his mother served on the boards of First Interstate Bank System and United Way of America. Gates read the January 1975 issue of Popular Electronics magazine promoting the Altair 8800 and contacted MITS to inform them that he and others were working on a basic interpreter for the platform. In fact, Gates and Allen did not own an Altair and had not written code for the platform, they were just trying to gauge MIT's interest. MITS President Ed Roberts agreed to meet with them for a demonstration, and within a few weeks they had developed an Altair emulator and then a basic interpreter running on a mini-computer. The demonstration was held at MIT's offices in Albuquerque, New Mexico, was successful and resulted in an agreement with MITS to distribute the interpreter as Altair Basic. MITS hired Allen, and Gates left Harvard in November 1975 to work with Allen and MITS. Allen named the partnership Microsoft, a combination of the words microcomputer and software, and opened their first office in Albuquerque. The first employee Gates and Allen hired was Rick Weiland, a mutual friend from high school. Within a year, they removed the hyphen and officially registered the trade name Microsoft with the New Mexico Secretary of State on November 26, 1976. Gates did not return to Harvard to complete his education. Microsoft's Altair Basic was popular with computer hobbyists, but Gates realized that an unreleased copy had been leaked and was quickly copied and reproduced. In February 1976, Gates wrote an open letter to hobbyists in the MITS newsletter, claiming that more than 90% of Microsoft Altair Basic users did not pay Microsoft for the software and that the Altair hobbyist market was in danger of removing the incentive for professional developers to produce, distribute, and maintain high-quality software. Although the letter was disliked by many computer hobbyists, Gates stood firm in his belief that software developers should be able to demand payment. Microsoft became independent from MITS in late 1976 and continued to develop programming language software for various systems. The company moved from Albuquerque to Bellevue, Washington on January 1, 1979. Gates said he personally reviewed and often rewrote every line of code the company produced in its first 5 years. As the company grew, he became a manager and then an executive. Donkey.bas is a computer game written in 1981 and included in early versions of the PC-DOS operating system distributed with the original IBM PC. It is a racing game in which players must avoid hitting donkeys. The game was written by Gates and Neil Konzen. IBM, as the leading supplier of computer hardware to commercial businesses at the time, approached Microsoft in July 1980 about software for its upcoming personal computer, the IBM PC, after Bill Gates' mother, Mary Maxwell Gates, mentioned Microsoft to IBM CEO John Opel. IBM first suggested that Microsoft write the BASIC interpreter. At the same time, IBM representatives said they needed an operating system, and Gates referred them to Digital Research, makers of the widely used CP/M operating system. However, IBM's negotiations with Digital Research were unsuccessful and they were unable to reach a license agreement. In a later meeting with Gates, IBM representative Jack Sams mentioned the licensing difficulties and asked if Microsoft would provide them with an operating system. A few weeks later, Gates and Allen proposed 86-DOS, an operating system similar to CP/M, which Tim Patterson of Seattle Computer Products had produced for PC-like hardware. Microsoft reached an agreement with SCP to be the exclusive licensing agent and later the sole owner of 86-DOS. Microsoft commissioned Patterson to adapt the operating system for the PC and delivered the PC-DOS product to IBM for a one-time fee of $50,000. The contract gave Microsoft a relatively small profit. Microsoft's transformation from a small business to the world's leading software company was due to the prestige that IBM's adoption of the operating system brought to Microsoft. Gates did not offer to transfer the operating system copyright to IBM because he believed that other personal computer makers would copy IBM's PC hardware. And so it was, and the use of IBM-compatible PCs running DOS became the de facto standard. Thanks to the sales of MS-DOS, Microsoft became a major player in the industry. The press quickly discovered that Microsoft had a huge influence on the IBM PC. PC Magazine asked if Gates was the man behind the machine. On June 25, 1981, Gates oversaw the restructuring of Microsoft, reorganizing the company in Washington state and appointing himself president and chairman of the board and Paul Allen vice president and executive vice president. Allen left the company in early 1983 after being diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, effectively ending a business partnership with Gates that had been strained by a contentious dispute over Microsoft's equity in the months before. In later years, Gates mended his relationship with Allen and they donated millions of dollars to Lakeside, where they attended school together as children. They remained friends until Allen's death in October 2018. Microsoft and Gates released the first retail version of Microsoft Windows on November 20, 1985, to fend off competition from Apple's Macintosh GUI, which captivated consumers with its simplicity and ease of use. In August of the following year, the company struck a deal with IBM to develop a separate operating system called OS/2. Although the two companies successfully developed the first version of the new system, the partnership broke down due to growing creative differences. The operating system evolved naturally independently of DOS for 10 years until the DOS text display was shelved with Windows 95. Windows XP, released a year after Gates' departure as CEO of Microsoft, was the first non-DOS-based operating system. Windows 8.1 was the last version of the operating system released before Gates handed over the chairmanship of the company to John W. Thompson on February 5, 2014. According to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, Gates became the world's highest-earning billionaire in 2013, increasing his net worth by $15.8 billion to $78.5 billion. As of January 2014, most of Gates' assets are held in Cascade Investment LLC, which has stakes in numerous businesses, including Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts and Corbis Corporation. On February 4, 2014, Gates resigned as chairman of the board of directors to become the company's technology advisor alongside Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. In an interview published in the March 27, 2014 issue of Rolling Stone magazine, Gates shared his perspectives on different issues. In the interview, Gates shared his thoughts on climate change, his philanthropic activities, various technology companies and the people involved in them, and the state of America. In response to a question about what his biggest fear will be when he looks 50 years into the future, Gates said, "There are going to be some really bad things that happen in the next 50 to 100 years, but hopefully none on the scale of, say, a pandemic or 1 million people you don't expect to die from nuclear or bioterrorism." Gates also described innovation as the real driver of progress and said that America is better today than it has ever been. Gates has expressed concerns about the potential harms of superintelligence. In a Reddit post titled "Ask Me Anything," he said, "First, machines will do a lot of work for us, and they won't be superintelligent. If we manage it right, it should be positive. After a few decades, intelligence will be powerful enough to cause concern." I agree with Elon Musk and others on this, and I can't understand why some people are not worried. Gates studied the work of Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller and in 1994 donated a portion of his Microsoft shares to establish the William H. Gates Foundation. In 2000, Gates and his wife merged the three family foundations, and Gates donated $5 billion worth of stock to establish the Bill v. Melinda Gates Foundation, a charitable organization described by Funds for NGOs in 2013 as the world's richest charitable foundation with assets reported at more than $34.6 billion.